My levels didn't exactly go as I thought they would. I didn't particularly get the marks I wanted, so I decided to look for another route, another avenue to take as opposed to university, and I think I found one. I spent a great deal of time looking for various jobs, just little things, working in Sainsbury's up the road, something like that, and I noticed they were looking for creative apprentices at Tanner Archives Museums. It started off doing things you would expect really from doing administration. I was doing a lot of booking workshops, liaising with teachers and members of the public to book various events and things. As I kept going, it started to evolve more into sort of more interesting things like working with the Loans Box service, doing a bit of research for various workshops and things that the learning teams are developing. I did my NVQ in Creative Arts Admin at Gateshead College. As I was working as my apprentice, another job came up in the volunteering department with what was called the Culture Track programme, which was a tailored, supervised volunteer programme for young people with various barriers to work, be that some form of learning disability or just problems with social skills. After that, I applied for a job in the Culture Bridge team as their events person. I'd had a lot of experience doing various events throughout my time as an apprentice and again as I was working with the volunteers. So now I'm project officer for events in the Culture Bridge North East team.
I looked online on the National Apprenticeship website and I found an advert for Volvo. Being an apprentice heavy plant engineer, basically you're learning electrics, mechanics, hydraulics, and it's all workshop based and site-based, so you get a sense of what it's like in the real world and then in a controlled area where you have more control over planning out jobs, how long a job's going to take you, whereas when you go on site it can be pretty unpredictable sometimes and you have to be prepared for a lot of things. So I'm working with my mentors at the moment, so when I go out on site I have them to sort of lead us and teach us, which is good, but eventually in a couple of years I'll be there on my own. I go to college in Norfolk, the National Construction College in Bircham Newton. Every couple of months of working in the workshop, I'll go to college for maybe 2 weeks or maybe 4 weeks and then learn a subject there which I can take back to work and then start building on and then practicing. So that's kind of how my apprenticeship works.
I went to school in North Tyneside in North Shields. I never really made the best of the opportunities that were available to us at school. I didn't leave school with any great academic education. I went straight into the army. I was in the army for 2.5 years. When I was in the army, it made us grow up a lot. It opened my eyes to the world of you've actually got to pay bills and you've actually got to utilise your money properly. Life's tough once you leave school, you know. And in the end, I didn't want to work for anybody anymore. I wanted to work for myself, so I drove a taxi. And I did that for 3 years and hated it. When I came to the open day, there was a lot of what I thought at the time were high-profile people who all had degrees and who were all very smart people, and they were all discussing computer terms that I'd never heard before. I applied anyway and I was offered an interview. So I had a telephone interview and then I was offered a formal interview and an assessment day. I came to the assessment day, I had the formal interview and there was no IT-based questions really in the interview. It was more so about the desire for me to learn. I was offered the job and I came to Accenture on my first day, and ever since then I've never looked back. It's been the most amazing experience I've ever had. So it's a 3-year higher level apprenticeship. I've just completed the 2nd year. Within that I work 4 days a week, and on the Wednesday I go to university. And I get paid to go to university as well, so which is always a bonus. I don't have any student debts or student finance at the end of it. That's all part of the apprenticeship. For the first 18 months of my apprenticeship I had no coding experience. So they put us on the innovation program. It gives you time as an apprentice to learn how to program, how to code, how to write applications and stuff. And obviously you've got the support of the senior developers behind you. The job's now my hobby as such. I go home and write code for enjoyment, and I do it at work. And I do it on Saturdays and I do it on Sundays because I just enjoy it so much and I've never looked back.
After leaving sixth form, I sort of decided I didn't want to pursue university because I didn't want to just do studying, just theory. I wanted to get out into the world of work, as they say, and start earning and learning at the same time. So I applied for apprenticeships in CAD-related mechanical engineering. When I was applying for apprenticeships, I found out about Tyne North Training. They put me forward for several apprenticeships in mechanical or mechanical CAD job titles. I've just come out last year, my apprenticeship, and that meant completing a BTEC and an MVQ level 3 in mechanical engineering. Currently about to start my 2nd year of my HNC in mechanical engineering at Tyne Met College. Subjects that I'll be doing this year will be CAD, project management, mechanical principles. It's problems and situations that are applied in engineering. It's more fun to learn about things when you know they could potentially be applied to something that you might have to deal with one day. It's great to know that you can come into a job or go to college and learn something every day that is completely brand new. I like to know that if there's a problem I can't solve, I'm going to work at it until I solve it. And that's what the HNC is about. It's difficult, but it's good, because when you do overcome the problems and the assignments, and it makes it worth it, and you know you've definitely learned something at the end of the day.
I think horticulture had always been something that was there in the background because my dad is a keen gardener. I really got into horticulture during my A-level period when I realised kind of it was something to take my mind off my A-level studies. But then I decided to try and take it up as an actual career path. So I came to East Durham College, Hoffel campus. Completed my national certificate in horticulture and I graduated from that with a distinction. I met some really inspiring tutors. One of them he'd worked in a botanic garden before. He's been all over the world. He's been to South Africa, to China, to Nepal. And so he conveyed this enthusiasm of plants. While I was at Hoffel, I did a lot of voluntary work at Durham Botanic Gardens, and that introduces you to plants and their connection to the world beyond. After I left the college, I won the Young Horticulturist of the Year 2014. I've just come back from China from a 3-week expedition. It was a really brilliant opportunity to see plants in the wild. I'm now working at the Fenford Arboretum, which is Lord Heseltine's private arboretum. It's one of the largest collections of trees and shrubs in the country. It really is an honour to work in such a prestigious garden for such an important person.
I went to Monks Eaton Community High School and I studied French, business studies, graphic design and dance. So there was always a creative side to my personality. After my GCSEs, I made the decision to go on to further education. I knew that the colleges, and Newcastle College in particular, had a lot of courses that were more specific to the kind of thing that I wanted to do. So I made the choice to study graphic design as a national diploma. The good thing about the college was you do feel very independent. I think especially when you've came from school where you've been there for a number of years, you kind of do feel like you're breaking free almost, and you've got this freedom to start thinking about your path yourself. The only downside for me was being so young and definitely quite shy at that time was this whole idea of it's going to be a whole new group of people that I don't know. But that quickly fades away because after a couple of weeks you just make this whole new realm of friends. I knew that there was still two sides of my interest. There was the creative side, but there was also like the more analytical, strategic side. I knew that there was a course, a foundation degree at Newcastle College that was creative advertising. So that's what I went to do, and I could apply all of the system knowledge that I'd learned in the national diploma, but I was also getting to learn more about the copywriting, and that's when I developed like this love for creative writing and writing in general. But then it was figuring out how to apply that into sort of the real world, and that's when I found the top-up MBA honours course at Northumbria University, which was Mass Communications and Business. So that gave me a full-rounded degree, and without knowing it, I'd sort of established this degree that was perfect for what I like doing.
When students come to college, you very much treat like an adult, and when you come to do health and social care, we expect you to act like a professional. We would encourage our learners to take responsibility and become independent learners, to use their own initiative and to develop study skills in order to help them with their curriculum work.
When I left school, I went to Middlesbrough College and done a BTEC National Electrical Engineering. The BTEC was a lot of maths involved, obviously a lot of the electrics, the way electricity works, basic principles. It did take a lot of time, there was a lot of assessments. It seemed to feel more grown up going to college than it did being at school, and you got to to do your own course that you chose to do, you weren't forced to do anything. So when I did my BTEC, it kind of gave me a career path that I wanted to go down. And then when I was looking into what I wanted to do, I realised that the RAF was something that I was interested in, because it was active and it was also learning while you were active. Joined the RAF when I was 17-year-old, straight from college, and I spent 9 weeks doing basic training, and then I went to Cosford in Wolverhampton and done 6 months training there. Then I was posted out to a squadron for a year and a half at Coningsby, Lincolnshire, and then from there I went back to Cosford and done another year there to do my trade training, which was kind of the military's version of university. And at the age of 24 I left the RAF to come here. My role in the RAF was an avionics technician. When I was there, it was a rectification, repair and the fault diagnosis of helicopters and fast jets. This opportunity at Hitachi as a test technician came, and it was ideal. It fit perfect to what I was doing previously in the RAF.
When I was doing my GCSEs, I had no idea what I wanted to do kind of post A-levels. I knew that I would stay on to do my A-levels, and I knew that I wouldn't go to university. I knew that I wanted to succeed, but I knew that it wasn't necessarily going to be down an academic path that would happen. So through my A-levels, just studying business and applied science, we did a lot of investigating on how science was used in industry. And one of the projects that we did was analysing how different pharmaceutical companies would decide on the drugs that they would buy, where we measured the amount of aspirin that was in certain tablets, and from that we made a commercial decision on what we would use if we were the pharmacists. So that did open my mind to the fact that you could work in science and in a more commercial environment like business at the same time.
At age 16, obviously I had a few decisions to make about where I wanted to go with my career. I decided that I wanted to go and do A-levels with a view to going to university. I could have chosen to do a traineeship, an apprenticeship, or gone to college to study something a bit more vocational. University was something that was going to work for me. I appreciate it's not for everyone. There is a big cost implication there, but the A-levels were really just a route into university for me. I think A-levels were much more self-taught. They took a lot more discipline to sit down and to go away and do the research or to complete that essay and what have you, compared to the GCSEs. Both are very academic, but I think the A-levels just stepped it up a little bit when it came to that self-learning. So after my A-levels I decided that I was going to go to university, and I looked at a number of options, but finally settled on history, which was a subject I'd really enjoyed at school, and I went for Lancaster University, primarily because of its standing within the UK academia, a top 10 university, both overall and for my subject as well.
In terms of careers, I'd always actually wanted to be an engineer. I used to want to design airplanes. I used to have loads of drawings of airplanes in my spare time, so that probably did steer my choices at school quite a bit with regards to subjects as well. So after my A-levels, I got into Bath University to study aerospace engineering. But once I was there, I discovered that it wasn't quite what I was hoping it would be. So I decided to move back up north and got onto the industrial design course at Northumbria University. The design for industry degree was really different from in engineering at Bath. It was a very different atmosphere. Like there was a lot of emphasis on working together. I was encouraged to work among your peers, bounce ideas off each other, interact, and it really did help a lot. One of the really great things about the design for industry course is that there's a lot of external projects. So we did projects for the likes of Mars and Lacoste, Northumbria Water. There was even projects with Philips and, to a lesser degree, Intel. It felt a lot more like we're doing things that were important.
As I was so interested in languages and business at school, there were very few universities that offered both options, and at that time I was studying both French and German. So my degree programme, Languages and Business, allowed me to do both French, German and business. So it felt like a natural choice to then go ahead and apply to Newcastle University. My degree programme was a 4-year degree, and It involved 3 years where I was in Newcastle and 1 year whilst I was abroad. During my year abroad, I spent 7 months in a very small town in the middle of France, and I taught English to children in this village. I then did 3 months where I worked in recruitment in Paris, and that was a great opportunity as well to further my language skills. I think when I started university, I found it quite difficult. Coming from not necessarily having a great foundation in my French language skills, I found it quite tough to keep up with grammar and things like that. After my year abroad, I felt much more at ease. I made lots of friends abroad, and it became a lot more easy to just converse with people and to get to know people, and that really helped develop my language skills.
I went to school at Durham Johnson. When I was at school, I wanted to do business with marketing. At undergraduate, I studied business management, and that was at York University. And that basically involved anything from marketing through to human resources, finance, and just a broad scope of the kind of functions that businesses have. I felt that would open up a sort of a broad perspective in terms of what kind of career I could pursue. My undergraduate dissertation got me thinking about the sort of sustainable economy and sustainability and careers that related to sustainability. I went on to do a Master's in Renewable Energy at Newcastle University. That then sort of lent to my interests in terms of science, mathematics, but also helped me to apply my sort of business studies and the marketing that I'd done at undergraduate as well.